I would like to confine myself to school education. It is true that after independence, we have improved education quantitatively, and if we go by statistical data, the number of schools and the enrollment therein and the number of students coming out of schools and colleges, the increase has been manifold. This is no doubt a good sign that we are going on right lines. But still this is not everything. Mere number do not improve quality of education. It is high time we should concentrate on the improvement of quality of education. One great defect in our system of education is that we are still following, after 25 years of independence, a system that was introduced into our country by the British. The British introduced a system of education wherein they could train people to staff their offices with clerks and administrators. After 25 years of independence, after appointing a number of education commissions, have we changed the system of education that is existing in our country? We have not done anything appreciable in this connection, and the same system is still being followed. That is one of the main reasons why we have so many educated unemployed. They are fit only to be clerks or administrators. When the British were there, they were careful in giving recognition to new schools because they knew that if the number of schools was increased, they would not be able to absorb all those students in their offices, and consequently educated unemployment would be there. But we have increased the number of schools. A district where we had only 10 high schools has now more than 200 high schools, and an area which had probably only 20 or 30 elementary schools before has now got more than 200 primary schools. So, educational opportunities have improved. The number of people who are educated and who are coming out of the schools and colleges is increasing. Therefore, unemployment among the educated has been increasing day after day. Now, coming to what you call technical education, it is a pity that our technicians and engineers should remain unemployed. It is a very sorry state of affairs. I must say that there is something wrong with our system of technical education. Take industrial schools, polytechnics, or engineering colleges. The products of these institutions are taught by those who have little experience in their particular field of work. They may be masters of engineering, but they have no practical experience of constructing a house or a bridge. This defect should be rectified if we want the students who come out of our engineering colleges to stand on their own legs and start their own business. This will also reduce unemployment among engineers to a great extent. I would next turn to another problem. I think we have enough of our own Indian languages. If we could try to study the languages of most of our states, I think we could become real linguists. We have 14 languages to be studied, so I think we should take interest in studying the languages of our sister states, and this will be more interesting because when we move from state to state, we feel one with them. If we are able to speak the language of that particular state, I would like to request the center to do something about promoting three language formula in schools. I would say that the regional language should be given as much importance as, for instance, any other language. The mother tongue should be taught from the first stage, and I request that Hindi should be taught side by side, not, of course, overlooking English. I would like to put in a little plea, particularly for the teaching of English. I know that many people will say that they would rather learn mother tongue, but knowing from the experience that I have had so far moving from place to place, I find that we are going to put our children into watertight compartment if we are going to educate them only through the regional language or the mother tongue. I have known that many children who, when they go to the neighboring state, feel quite out of place there because they cannot make themselves understood or they cannot understand their fellow children there. So, I would earnestly request that English be taught with a little more emphasis so that from north to south, from east to west, we could be understood wherever we go, and our children will not be misfits if they go abroad for further studies. This will carry them all over the world and they will have self confidence to go and meet anybody on any platform. But I find that poor children in the villages are taught only in the regional language, and when they come to the city, they cannot understand either Hindi or English. All our children should feel as if they are one and as if they belong to every state in India. Dear sir, I have now had an opportunity to give careful thought to the talk we had last Wednesday regarding the advantages of shipping my products to overseas places by plane. I must point out that, as I told you during your call here, I have an agreement with a shipping line to carry my products to certain stated places, and this agreement will be in force for a further 6 months. It is therefore impossible for me to change over to air services immediately in these particular cases. However, my chief representative Mr. Brown has recently spent several weeks overseas in an attempt to find new markets for my principal products, and from the reports I have so far received, I have no doubt at all that I shall shortly be opening up some very profitable new outlets. Mr. Brown is expected to be back in this office by the end of the month. I have already given him authority to make agreements with certain companies provided that their standing with the banks is satisfactory. As soon as Mr. Brown returns, I shall go fully into all these matters with him and shall then be in a better position to let you know to what degree I could make use of air services. You will, of course, understand that even though my products are very light in weight and your charges are most reasonable, the fact is that the air service costs more than the usual charges made by the shipping companies. This additional cost would be worthwhile only if it can be shown that quick delivery of the goods is required, and if the customer is willing to pay a little more to have the advantages of delivery by air. I shall also keep in mind the very important fact which you rightly put before me last week, that there is much less probability of breakage in the case of goods sent by air. My insurance charges are heavy as I must expect considerable loss of goods through breakage. I shall write to you again as soon as I have anything more to report. Yours very truly.